Hi everyone, Jason McDonald here. I've got a quick presentation here on the second iteration of the API that we're building and how it's now connected to MongoDB and how it's pulling data that's coming directly from that DB into our client now. So here is our service as it's set up. And what we can see here first is we have a .rest file here that's got all of our different both local and prod URIs as well as their different endpoints for the API. So for the local host, let's just go ahead and run npm run start prod, and that's gonna get us fired up on prod here, and you can see we're connected on port 8080. So now that we have that in place, we can actually go ahead and send this request. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and send it over here in Thunder Client. See, we've already did some testing on it, so I'm going to send that request. We'll get a 200 response. It brings back all the contacts for the cluster that's in the database. These are all the documents within my collection that I have. And then if we wanted to go for each ID, um, what we do here at that point is we would then go ahead and run each individual ID. And so if I send that, you'll see that we get a 200 with individual contacts. Same across all three. So those are all up and running. And this is connected to the Mongo DB. You can see here that in our server.js, we're accessing our routes with the one line to get to all of them. Along with that, we have our get ignore here because we do have our environment variable set up here locally. I'm not going to open that so that the connection string isn't posted to the world here on the internet. And then if we go through each of the different setups, this is again where service.js, which makes reference to our DB Connect. So if we go over to connect.js, you'll see here that we're using the environment variable and connecting to initialize our database as well as get the DB that we're working on. So as we go through that, we'll go over to our routes section. And in our routes, we have our main index.js, which then allows us to get both the homepage route, which is here in just the lesson1.js. We'll see have homepage route to get our access to our different controllers with the methods that they call. And then we have our contacts.js with our methods that are inside our controllers. So as we go over to our controllers, what you'll see here is our contacts.js controller has the method for getting all our contacts out of the DB, and then our single contact based on an ID, again, coming out of the DB. So if we head on over to MongoDB right here, you can see here's the three documents within our collection, just in a DB called MainDB, and the collection's called Contacts. And then if we go back to our REST file here, we actually can go ahead and run this here on Contacts, and you'll see that as it's loading, it is taking a minute here to get it loaded up. I had it running earlier. It will return the same amount from our prod instance. So we'll just give it a second to try and load here. While it does that, I'll pause the recording until it gets loaded up. All right, and as you can see, now that it's loaded up, it did take a minute, but it was able to pull the data that we needed from the DB as a list of array with an array of objects that are showing the items here from the DB. We can also grab that file and we can run for one of the contacts. So we'll just pick this one right here. and we'll do click here. Now it pulled it up on a different screen, so I will bring it over here for us. We'll just minimize that and bring this over. And as you can see, there's the individual contact that was pulled up based on the ID. And then just to ensure that this is working properly, we see it's working in render just fine. If I bring this over, you can see as well, if I go to the environment section of deploy, we have our DB connection variable along with its value. Again, I'm not going to show the value so it's not there on the internet, but you can see that we're set up with the correct environment variables that we need as well there on render. So if we take a look to as well as GitHub, what we'll see is because our env file is get ignored, it's not here in the repo. You can see again in the get ignore that the .env is one of the values. So this is set up to run and get that contact information. We can see that it's running perfectly in prod, as well as we were able to see here through Thunder Client that it was able to run locally as well. So this is my Contacts API, and thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.